week we are going to take a break from our regular scheduled program. So instead of doing our regular art Monday through Thursday like normal with our different categories, we're going to just set that aside for this week, and we are going to do a special book study. Yes, you heard it right, book study. Now we're going to take a book that you've read in class, in your humanities class specifically, and we're going to use that to create a art project. And that art project is going to take up all 4 days this week. I've broken it down into sections so you can follow along and do one part each day. Most of the time, you're going to need things to dry in between one day and the next. So even if you decide to crunch it together and do it in one sitting, you might have to wait a little bit in there to let things dry before going on to the next step. Just keep that in mind. So here we go. Today, part 1. You ready? Let's go. All right, so today we're going to work on painting our Peter Rabbit, Beatrix Potter style. So we want it to be pretty watery and loose, not really dark and intense. We're not going for really dark colors. Now you remember you put your water into your tray and get those colors loosened up. You need to have a paper towel nearby. We might need that. And we're going to start out up here at this flower. Now let's try to achieve the look that Beatrice made. Now I'm going to put some red on half of my flower. Only half. I'm going to leave a white spot open. I'm going to wash my brush off so there's no more red on my brush at all. And then just using water, I'm going to come in here and I'm kind of spread that red out so it gets a little bit softer. The left side is really red and then it's softer on the right hand side. This is sort of the way that Beatrix paints, with just a real loose watercolor, real soft colors. So you don't want things super dark. So here on my leaves, I'm going to do the same kind of technique. I'm going to put in a little strip of the darker green, it has more paint on it. And as my brush starts to lose that paint, I'm going to use it, see how soft that green is, to do my stems. And then I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to clean my brush off just like I did with the flower. So there's only water on there. And I'm going to spread that green around a little bit. I don't want stripes. I want to spread the green out, but I don't want it real dark. So I'm going to do this same technique throughout this whole painting, where I take an outside edge of whatever shape I'm painting, and I'm going to put the color on first, and then I'm just going to come back in with my paintbrush that's been clean and just dipped into the water, and I'm going to use that watery paintbrush to spread the color out. And I'm trying to get as many leaves as I can with that one stroke. So now I'm going to come back in with that water, spread it out. And now, so you see my technique with, if I have too much paint, I can just take my paper towel, lay it on top, pat it, and it will pick up some of the paint. So if you feel like you have too much paint in one area, that is your special trick. Now, Peter Rabbit was brown, so I'm going to go ahead and use brown paint. I'm going around the edges and making the edges a little bit darker, and I'm letting it stay really light in the middle. That's going to make him look a little more three-dimensional, but we're not trying to get super realistic. And then the same thing, right? I do a little bit around the edges, and then I go back in with water and spread the paint into the middle so the middle stays lighter. So I use the same brown on all of Peter Rabbit. Looks kind of red in my video, but it's brown. And I'm trying to shade him a little bit so that he looks a little three-dimensional. Don't forget those paws. Now don't forget, if you touch a wet color next to another wet color, they will run into each other. Okay, red in his ears, red in his nose. I gave him darker brown eyes. Here I am with my coat, and look at that. I touched his brown paw and it started to leak over into his blue jacket. Fortunately, I was able just to sort of smush it around and it disappeared. So that worked out for me. Oh, same thing on this side. See how his paw started to leak into the jacket? A trick you can do too if you get watercolor where you don't want it or you made it too dark is to use your paper towel and just blot it. Put it on top and gently touch it and then pull it off. All right, there we go. Blue jacket, red bow at the throat. Our Peter is looking fabulous. He's watery, he's colored. We have a technique similar to Beatrix Potter. All right, can't wait to see him. Come back tomorrow, let it dry, day 4.